Starting off this countdown, we have the Doriodo Temple. This story is pretty creepy. So apparently back in 1963, there was a murder of an 81-year-old woman that happened in this temple. Then exactly 10 years later, in 1973, a college student went missing and was found dead by the temple. Then in 1983, again exactly another 10 years later, the temple caught on fire. Therefore, it's said that every 10 years, something bad and deadly will happen at the temple. To prevent any more tragedies, people stopped visiting the place. I just think that it's super creepy how it all happened exactly 10 years apart. Like, that's super weird. Moving on at number 9, we have the slit-mouthed woman. Now, this urban legend is pretty popular around the world, not just Tokyo. But the story originates from Japan. So, story goes that there is a seemingly innocent woman that lurks the streets wearing a surgical mask. She will target individuals that are alone and ask them if she is beautiful. If you say yes, she will take off her mask and it will reveal that she has slits in her face from her mouth up to her ears. Basically, she has a very big and scary smile. She then will ask, "How about now?" If you say no, she will kill you. If you say yes, she will carve your face so you have the same smile as her. Now, rumor has it that if you say meh, so-so to her question, "Do I look beautiful now?" then she'll leave you alone. But I don't know how anyone would be able to keep their calm, like, "Am I beautiful?" Meh, so-so. Like, I don't know anyone that could do that. I'd be freaking out. In our 8th spot, we have the red cape. Again, this is another legend that's famous in Tokyo as well as all of Japan. So, legend goes that a spirit of a man wearing a mask waits in the stalls of the woman's washrooms. He is usually in the last stall in the line. Once you pop a squat, he will ask the woman, "Do you want red paper or blue?" If you say red, you will suffer a violent, bloody death. If you say blue, you will be suffocated until you turn blue. If you say you just want normal white toilet paper, his hand will appear and drag you to hell through the toilet. But if you just politely decline anything, then you get away unharmed, so that's the best option. Manners are the best way to go. But seriously, who came up with this urban legend? It's pretty disturbing. Moving on to number 7, we have the giant robot. So this next urban legend surrounds the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building. It is said that the building can transform into a giant robot. Yeah, you heard me correctly. And apparently this is a very popular legend in Tokyo. So, legend goes that during a national emergency, such as an alien invasion, the Tokyo Metropolitan Building will transform into a giant robot to defend the city. Apparently, the governor of Tokyo will control this robot. Each governor receives training on how to operate it after inauguration. Apparently, this robot's punch can reach targets up to 40 kilometers away. Honestly, I don't know what to think about this legend. Like, if it's true, then that's pretty awesome. Like, dang, if there's an alien invasion, you know where I'm going. Tokyo. In our 6th spot, we have the shrine. Now, there is a shrine in Tokyo named the Owaya Shrine. According to the legend, it is home of a woman who was poisoned by her husband. Her ghost is still very active around the shrine and seeks revenge on her husband. As a result, people avoid the shrine with fear of running into this angry ghost. Others go to the shrine and pay their respects to protect themselves against her. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the Komine Tunnel. Legend goes that back in 1989, a cannibalistic serial killer murdered a girl and left her body there in the Komine Tunnel. It is then said that her spirit haunts this tunnel. But not only her. Apparently, people have also seen an older female ghost there as well. Now, in 2016, the government opened a new tunnel, so this one is hardly in use. But no one dares to go near this supposedly haunted tunnel. Making our way down the list at number 4, we have Tiki Tiki. Again, a very popular urban legend in Tokyo and the rest of Japan. So, legend goes that a female student tripped and fell on some train tracks right as a train was coming. As a result, she was cut in half by the train. Now it's said that her spirit crawls around on her hands and elbows, just dragging her body along. It makes a tiki tiki sound, hence the name. Or if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I apologize, maybe it's teke teke, but there's no way that I can find the pronunciation for this. Now, Tiki Tiki wanders around at night and slices her victims in half. What's scary is apparently she is very fast, but doesn't have any legs. She's just really good at dragging herself. So you won't be able to outrun her, and that's terrifying. Making our way down the list at number 3, we have the Akasaka Mansion. The Akasaka Mansion is apparently one of the most famous haunted houses in Tokyo. Apparently, a couple of suicides have happened there, and numerous unexplained deaths. On top of that, it is home to a huge amount of paranormal activity. People have seen white smoke coming from the air conditioner, lights would turn on and off by themselves, and people have even seen figures by their beds. But that's not all. One guest said that she was dragged across the room by her hair by a ghost. The next day, her back was covered in scratches. Coming in at number 2, we have the haunted gravesite. Terudo Masakado was a wealthy samurai. He died on March 25th, 940. Now, it's said that his gravesite is extremely haunted. In fact, a series of unexplained accidents around his grave have all been linked to him, giving it the name the Masakado Curse. So, first off, when he was decapitated, apparently his head resisted decay for 3 months. In fact, his eyes would roll in their sockets. Then in 1923, after Tokyo was struck by the Kanto earthquake, the government moved his monument. And then the Minister of Finance started to build a new building in that spot. But within days, he was hospitalized by a strange illness. He died after 3 months in the hospital. But not only that, 14 people from the construction company died mysteriously. So it was thought that this grave is extremely cursed and he was the one killing off these people. So if you disturb him and his grave, you will die. In our number 1 spot, we have Toyama Park. Now, if you ever visit Tokyo and want to do a nice scenic walk through a park, do not choose a haunted one, like Toyama Park. So legend goes that back during World War II, the park was the burial ground for bodies that were being experimented on. In fact, over the years, human bones have been dug up all around the park. Now it's said that the park is filled with restless spirits. People have claimed to hear sounds of people crying at night. In fact, some have even said that they've seen a disembodied man sobbing his eyes out. On top of that, others have seen a hitodama, which is a fiery ball of light that appears when a person's soul is separated from their body. Starting off this countdown, we have the Doriodo Ruins. I apologize in advance if I say any of these names wrong. So I kind of want to visit Tokyo just to do some ghost hunting. Who's with me? Because there are tons of haunted locations there. In the center of the Otsukayama Park, you will find the ruins of the Doriodo Temple, which apparently translates to the end of the road temple, which is quite fitting since 2 murders have taken place there. Now it's said that you can hear the voices of the victims crying for help in the dark. Now, here's the thing. It's thought that another murder might have happened there that we just haven't discovered yet. Legend goes that the voice you hear is actually the victim trying to guide you into finding their own dead bones so that they can receive some closure and finally rest in peace. In our 9th spot, we have the Red Room. Back in the 90s, this urban legend was terrifying innocent young souls all over Tokyo. So the legend is about a cursed pop-up that appears on a person's computer screen. Now, there are different versions of this legend. One states that the pop-up is an image of a door with a recorded voice that asks, "Do you like the Red Room?" Whereas other versions say that the pop-up is a red screen with creepy black writing on it. Now, you can try closing the pop-up, but even when you do, it will continue to appear on your screen. It's said that those who see the pop-up are later found dead, the walls of their room painted red with their own blood. What's creepy is that in 2005, a young girl murdered her classmate. Officials ended up finding that the Red Room was bookmarked on her computer. They believe that this pop-up is truly cursed and influenced her into committing the murder. Making our way down the list at number 8, we have Yukiona. Yukiona is a young, beautiful woman who uses her looks to lure men to their death. She's considered a snow woman. She appears on Snowy Nights is a tall woman with long black hair and blue lips. Her pale skin lets her blend in with her snowy surroundings. One version of the legend states that Yukiona appears to travelers trapped in snowstorms. She will then kill the travelers with her icy breath, leaving them as a frost-coated corpse. Whereas another version says that she will lead the travelers astray and let them die of exposure. But that's not all. If Yukiona feels like being even more cruel, then she will feast on them and drain her victims of their blood. In our 7th spot, we have the Zoshigaya Cemetery. Zoshigaya is one of the largest and most haunted cemeteries in Tokyo. In fact, people are very reluctant to visit the cemetery because of how haunted it is. On top of that, legend goes that 3 people have committed suicide at this place. It's thought that something at the cemetery forces them to do so. On top of that, it's said that the ghosts of these individuals still lurk around the cemetery. If you go there, chances are you will run into one of these ghosts. Some have heard voices whispering in their ears, while others have seen faces and white hands appear from behind trees. Coming in at number 6, we have the Poisoned Ghost. This next urban legend is about a woman named Oiwa who was poisoned by her husband. Her ghost is now back and seeking revenge. So apparently Oiwa was a beautiful woman who fell in love with a poor man named Lemon. They eventually got pregnant and got married. But Lemon fell in love with a rich woman named Umi, so he ended up poisoning Oiwa and then pushing her off a cliff, all so that he could be with Umi. A different version is that Oiwa killed herself after becoming disfigured from a poisoned face cream. Either way, the legends end the same way. Oiwa causes Lemon to hallucinate and kill his wife and others around him before killing himself. Now, this legend is super popular. In fact, it has been adapted a number of times. But the story is said to be cursed. Actresses who portray Oiwa on stage have become ill or have injured themselves. So it's thought that she will haunt anyone who talks about her tragic story. It's great, I literally just talked about it, so if I become cursed, you know what happened. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the Breakup. So if you and your partner are on a nice romantic vacation in Tokyo, the one place you should not go to is Inokashira Park. Legend goes that if a couple goes on a boat ride together in this park, then they will immediately break up. So enshrined near the pond is a statue of Benton, the goddess of femininity, water, and beauty. Story goes that Benton becomes jealous of any couple out on the pond together and will force the two to split up with each other. Apparently this has happened to a bunch of lovers. They set off madly in love, but when they arrive back shortly after, they are disgusted with each other. So maybe just skip this part of Tokyo for now. Or, I mean, go there if you want an easy way to end your relationship, you know, either or. In our 4th spot, we have Sunshine 60, otherwise known as Tokyo's haunted skyscraper. From 1978 to 1991, it was considered the largest building in Japan, and it may just be one of the most haunted ones too. So according to this legend, this building was built on land which used to be home to Japan's most infamous prison, Sugamo Prison. This prison was home to an abundance of criminals. It is also the place where an execution of 7 Japanese war criminals occurred. Now it's said that these executed criminals haunt the building. Some have seen fireballs floating in the air. Others have seen ghostly apparitions or have heard cries for help. In our 3rd spot, we have Tominos Hell. Tominos Hell is the name of a poem written by Sayo Yaso, and it's apparently cursed. Legend goes that whoever reads this poem out loud will suffer from misfortune or even death. Consequences range from feeling sick, to injuring yourself, to death. Some interpret that the poem is about a young boy who descends into the 8 levels of hell after killing his parents, whereas others believe it's about a man that goes into war and ends up dying, never being able to see his family again. Either way, it's said that you should never, and I mean never, read this poem out loud. The curse is so strong that some people who have read the poem in their head have even felt it ill while doing so. And I mean, I refuse to even look at the poem, let alone recite it. Moving on at number 2, we have Hanakosan. Hanakosan is basically the Japanese version of Bloody Mary, but in my opinion, this one is way more terrifying. Hanakosan Hanakosan is a young girl who haunts school bathrooms. She's described as having short dark hair and is seen wearing a red skirt or dress. To summon her, it's said that you must enter a girl's bathroom in your school, knock 3 times on the 3rd stall door, and ask if Hanakosan is there. If she is, she will speak to you. The door will then slowly open and you'll be able to see her ghostly figure covered in blood before she drags you down the toilet, which leads to hell. Now, this legend is pretty popular in all of Japan, not just Tokyo. In fact, it's said that tons of young girls try to summon Hanakosan at school. And in our number 1 spot, we have the Hemorrhoid Mansion. This mansion is considered one of the most haunted locations in all of Japan. In fact, the exact location of this mansion is widely unknown to the public, and that's a good thing. Legend goes that the owners of the house partook in something known as the strangling ritual. Basically, it's done to seal off evil or bad karma from within the earth. But the ritual didn't end up working and the family dishonored themselves. As a result, the man ended up killing himself and his family. Now it's said that their souls still wander around the mansion. They will apparently try to complete this ritual with whoever enters their abandoned house. In fact, it's said that 2 women were found dead on the property with rope burns on their wrists. Others who have entered the house reported seeing blood splashes on the wall, saw apparitions of a spirit dressed in all white, and were cut by some invisible blade. But that's not all. It's said that if you take a photo of a certain window in the home, a young girl can be seen when you develop the photos. Starting off this countdown, we have Oshima Island. Oshima Island is a beautiful volcanic island off of the coast of Honshu. However, it is also a very haunted island. It's said that a lot of people have committed suicide there, and occasionally their bodies will wash up on shore of this island. Not only that, but this island has a dark history including deaths, curses, hauntings, and kidnappings. There have been a number of accounts of people seeing apparitions of ghosts and decapitated heads appearing on the bridge there. Not only that, but legend goes that if you walk around the island in a counterclockwise direction, then you will become cursed and will take your own life and join the other ghosts on the island. Everything in the world of the dead is the reverse of the living world, so walking around counterclockwise brings you to the land of the dead. My only question is, how do you know which way to travel on the island? Like, they better have signs telling people which way to walk, or I could just see them walking counterclockwise by accident. In our 9th spot, we have the Curse of the Colonel. This urban legend has got to be one of the more interesting ones out there, because basically Tokyo's baseball team, the Hanshin Tigers, thought that they were cursed by Colonel Sanders. Yeah, the man of KFC. This legend started back in 1985, the time where the team won the Japan Championship Series. As a result, fans were out celebrating and took a statue of Colonel Sanders from outside of a store and dumped it into a canal. Ever since that incident, the team had an 18-year losing streak, so they believed that the ghost of Colonel Sanders was punishing them for what they did to his statue. As a result, he put a curse on the team. After years upon years of losing, they decided to recover the statue from the water to try and, uplift the curse. So, don't know if it worked, but Mr. Sanders, man, he's more evil than I thought. Coming in at number 8, we have Hachioji Castle. The Hachioji Castle was a scene of a brutal battle back in the 1590s. The castle was built on top of a mountain to try and avoid intruders. But in 1590, over 50,000 soldiers showed up to conquer the castle, and it was a bloody mess. Literally. Now it's said that the souls killed in the battle wander the grounds around the remains of the castle. Furthermore, people have claimed that they have heard sounds of battle, gunshots, and screams coming from the area. Other people have seen ghosts of samurai running around. Moving on to number 7, we have the Haunted House. The Shonyon is a haunted house in Tokyo. Now, what makes it creepy is the fact that we hardly know any history surrounding the house. According to the legend, someone committed suicide there in the past, and their ghost can be seen wandering around. The house is filled with strange objects and personal belongings. It seems like someone just got up and fled one day, leaving all their personal stuff behind. But sadly, we don't know why they fled. and we don't know what truly happened in the house. Now it's just known as a haunted house and is the site for a number of hauntings. In our 6th spot, we have the human-faced dog. Jinmenkin, or the human-faced dogs, are just as the name describes them to be. They are dogs with human faces. Ever wanted a talking dog? Well, here's your chance. So legend goes that the human-faced dogs roam the streets of Japan at night. If you approach them, they mean no harm, but they will tell you to leave them alone. But it is said that if you see one, then it's a bad omen and disaster is soon to follow. Japanese locals say that these creatures were the result of a top secret science experiment, or that it's a ghost of a human who was struck by a car while walking their dog. Over the years, there have been a number of people that have claimed to see these creatures. As a result, they have been named the chupacabras of Japan. And some believe that these creatures really do exist. Like, imagine going out for a late night stroll and then just being like, oh, what a cute puppy, and the puppy's all like, hey, what's up? That'd be terrifying. No thank you. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Disneyland. Disney has attractions set up all over the world, and it has maintained the title of the happiest place on earth. Except the Disneyland resort in Tokyo makes me think otherwise. So legend goes that the parks are so overcrowded that people go missing all the time and no one notices. Apparently, tons of people are abducted and then are used for organ harvesting. Well, how happy is that? In fact, some people claim that the park staff are in on it. They purposely con parents somehow and lead them away so they can remove and sell their organs. Making our way down the list at number 4, we have the Enoyama Cemetery. Tokyo has tons of haunted cemeteries. If you want to hear more stories of haunted cemeteries, check out the first parts to the series. The Enoyama Cemetery is a very famous haunted cemetery in Tokyo. Legend goes that a taxi driver picked up a female from around that cemetery at midnight, and while driving her home, she disappeared from the back seat. As a result, taxis actually refused to pass by there at night. Not only that, but a similar thing would happen to buses. A bus driver would be driving by the area when their stop request signal would go off, meaning someone in the bus pressed it, but no one would be on board. There's also another story of a bunch of teens that went to the cemetery at night and ended up being dragged into another world. Apparently, there are a bunch of areas around the cemetery that can transport you to the other side. But who's going around to cemeteries at night anyways? Just like, cut it out, cut it out. Coming in at number 3, we have Cowhead. Cowhead is a legend that has been scaring children all across Japan for years. So legend goes that if you hear this story, then you will die after reading about it or hearing it. Apparently, this happened to a teacher who started to tell pieces of the story to his class while on a school field trip. After hearing the story, the students fainted and were found frothing at the mouth. On top of that, the bus driver went unconscious and crashed the bus into a ditch. And apparently the teacher became possessed. So it's said that one section of the story is about a town that became cursed after eating a cowhead, but no one knows the full story, and it's best that we keep it that way, unless you want to die. In our 2nd spot, we have Tokyo Bay Canon. In 1961, a large statue of the Buddhist goddess of mercy, Canon, was erected off the coast of Tokyo Bay. Now it's said that the statue and the location is very dangerous and haunted. So inside the statue is a spiral staircase that leads to an outside viewing area, but several people have climbed up only to jump to their deaths from there. Now, the statue was originally built to symbolize world peace, but that and death and suicide don't really go hand in hand, so don't know what happened with that one. Now legend goes that the whole area leading up to the statue and the statue itself emits dark, sinister energy, and is known to be haunted by the souls who took their lives. Now what's crazy is that a tourist website that talks about the statue literally has this as a disclaimer. Note, we do not take any responsibility for any damage caused as a result of using information on this website, aka like visiting the place. Reverse your path if you feel any danger. So they literally warn you about going there and are like, well, you can't sue us if someone dies on your visit. And in our number 1 spot, we have the Cursed commercial. In the 1980s, there were a series of Kleenex commercials on air that were said to be extremely haunted. In the commercial, there was the actress Kiko Matsuzaka dressed in a white dress with a child dressed as a Japanese ogre or Oompa Loompa, don't really know. Each advertisement had the song It's a Fine Day by Edward Barton and Jane playing in the background. Everything was fine until the viewers started complaining to television stations about the commercial because they found it very creepy and unsettling. They even thought that the background song was some sort of German curse. From there, it was thought that whoever watched the commercial would mysteriously fall ill and die. In fact, legend said that the actor who played the ogre creature, whatever, got their head decapitated in a car crash. And it was said that Kiko got pregnant with a demon child and then was admitted into an insane asylum. Not only that, but legend goes that all the crew that helped with the commercial died mysteriously too. Like, apparently the cameraman burned to death in a freak sauna fire. Literally sounds like something from Final Destination. I haven't seen all the movies, but chances are that's a legit scene in the movie.